Chief Medical Officer Dr. Josiah Rambali says an investigation will be conducted. At issue is the leaked medical record of a woman who was allegedly physically assaulted by the former treasurer of the United Workers' Party. Anthony Walcott is currently in court facing a maiming charge. The woman, who received medical attention at Victoria Hospital and at a facility in Martinique, says her records have reached the public domain without her consent.
We have to find the source and to deal with it accordingly. I heard it on the news, so it's interesting to find out who leaked out the records.
The chief medical officer has been accused of leaking the records. It is a charge that Dr. Rambali vehemently denies. He also has this word of advice for his accusers.
I heard this, but people can make any allegations they want to, but they have to prove it. This would be insanity for it to come from my office, so that's absolutely not correct.
Dr. Rambali does not deny having the records. He says it is protocol for the CMO to have the records of patients referred by the ministry for additional medical assistance. It is a rule that is supported by a former CMO up to a point.
Well, as the Chief Medical Officer, I have access to anybody else's record if there are any queries about anything.
You don't need to have access to the full record. And even when, as Chief Medical Officer, you have access to the records, remember, you're a doctor first. So the confidentiality has to be maintained. So if, for instance, a doctor was to send information to me about a patient that we are transferring, that information remains in my possession and I keep it confidential. And I don't need to share that information with the minister, the permanent secretary, or any other such officials or officers.
But what will be the outcome of the public outrage that has accompanied news of this leak? And what will be the scope of the investigation that is to be launched by the CMO? Dr. Stephen King has these suggestions.
What has happened here, I am unaware of, I'm not sure. But if confidentiality was breached, then I think the investigation should point out exactly how they were breached. And when that is discovered, then the appropriate sanctions have to be brought to bear, whatever those sanctions may be. Obviously, they may have to be administrative sanctions if there are no legal sanctions that can be brought to bear.
Dr. King says there are other options open to the alleged assault victim in this case. That includes writing to the Medical Council, the body that oversees medical professionals, for an investigation. The victim can also pursue the matter in civil court. Carmi Joseph, HTS News, Channel 4.